Hey guys, Sean for my brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shop fair today. They're gonna go out, see what things come out today, see what things are on sale. I know, the big release today, is Pirates of the Caribbean, the latest Pirates of the Caribbean film. And I believe there's like a number of different, retail exclusive versions of that one. So definitely gonna go and check out all those different versions of that came out. Also, Walmart, since it's the first Tuesday of the month, should have put out a whole bunch of new stuff too in the section there, like in the main, they only change out that section like the first Tuesday of every month. So definitely should be some new stuff in there as well. Not sure all the stuff they're going to have this week, so definitely going to check there as well. Also, the end of this video is going to have some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews, so stay tuned for those at the end of this video. But anyway though guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And over here though, like I said, the main thing that came out today was Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. And their version in here has like exclusive bonus digital content from the depths of how to steal a bank, so some kind of thing like it's available digitally of that one. The 4K here is $29.99. The regular Blu-ray is $24.99 of that one, and then they have like the DVD as well. Other than that though, that seems to be all the major things over here today. They're still kind of stocking everything up, so like not everything is put out yet or anything, but don't really see anything else in here. There seems to be some kind of like 4K sales here, like Alien Covenant for like $24.99. Oh no, these are all in the wrong spot. These are for Wonder Woman, but no, that seems to be all the major things in here today. It doesn't look like there's anything new over here as well. But we're heading over to Walmart though, because they should have a whole bunch of new stuff put out over there today. And I didn't see the Cult of Chucky in there, so I don't know if they, maybe they didn't end up putting that out yet and they only changed out the Pirates of the Caribbean, but it didn't look like they were going to have it in there or not, because like that came out today, Cult of Chucky, and then like the 7 movie collection as well, but it didn't seem like they had it, at least as far as I could tell. Into Walmart we go. And in Walmart though, they have these glow-in-the-dark covers again. It seems to only be the DVD edition ones. I think these ones might be different than the ones before, because they had them, I believe, last year. They have a bunch of different ones here. All seem to be like $7.96 and $9.96, like the Jaws 3 movie collections. Underneath though, it's the regular editions, but it's, the new slip covers on them. The Psycho one, Krampus here, The Boy, Ouija, Origin of Evil, Purge the Election Year, Bride of Chucky, Tremors, Phantom of the Opera, Halloween 2, Child's Play 2, and then the Universal Monster ones like Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invisible Man, Bye Bye Man, that movie 9. These are all pretty cool ones though. Like I said, all seem to be like $5.96, $7.96, and then $10.96 for these ones. But as always though, I gotta keep my fingers crossed that they, change out this section and put out the new movies over here, in the actual section. So let's hope. And in here though, their edition of Pirates of the Caribbean, it doesn't seem like they actually have any, exclusive editions of that one in here. Yeah, as far as I can tell, it seems like it's all just the standard ones of that. But there's actually quite a few things that came out today. Cult of Chucky, which came out today. And this one's only $14.96 for that one. But I actually really like this movie. It's kind of had some mixed opinions. Things about it, not everything is like totally perfect, but I really did like it. Then they have in here the 7 movie collection. So I mentioned that I didn't see either of these at Target, and the cover on this one is really cool as well. It's all done in the Good Guy box style, and that one's $34.96. I think these are in the wrong spot. I think $34.96 is the Blu-ray one. I think these ones are really easy to mix up. Seems like it's, yeah, let me see if it says here, like, I can't tell here for sure, but it seems like they only have the DVD collection of these ones. So like if you guys are looking for this one, yeah, I don't know if they're going to carry the Blu-ray one of that one in here or not. Other than that though, some of the other ones, they're hard to, that's when people always say, why don't you put these back? As you see though, these are never that easy to put back on the shelf. But other than that though, this one came out today, this movie called Atomica. I don't know a lot about this one at all, but I know this released today. This one movie here called 6 Days. And this one looked kind of interesting from the cover, but I don't know anything about this one, called Shortwave. Definitely going to have to look into this one. If you guys have seen this one, let me know how this one is, but kind of looks interesting from the cover. On this one other one called Sniper Ultimate Kill. I'm going to talk about that one next Tuesday. And then the sequel to Goon came out, and it's, a Sean William Scott film. I remember though really liking the first one of these, but like have not, haven't seen the first movie in a really long time, but as far as I remember though, it was actually a pretty fun movie. This one I might get this movie. I know it's gotten some really bad reviews. William H. Macy directed this film, but kind of looked a little funny. It's Alexandria Daddario and Kate Upton, and I don't know exactly what happens, but kind of looked a little bit funny. But it's one of those movies, though, like a lot of like really negative reviews on it. But I have to get another one because this one is all, you know, the slip covers are all screwed up on it. But we'll look over in the section though and see what else they have. But over here, though, in the actual section, though, there's definitely some new things I see put out here today. I think this one came out in here. This one, No Regrets, and Diana in 7 Days. And the other ones I think are new. You know, Book of Henry came out, and they don't have, it seems, the Blu-ray of this one. This is another one that got really, really negative reviews, but I really like this movie. I don't know, I like the story to the whole thing. I thought it was kind of an interesting film. I believe this one was today. This movie called 100 Below Zero. I don't know a lot about this one at all. I think this one I don't know if this was last month this came out, this Relive movie. Some of these spots are empty though, so I'm not sure what was in these ones. This one called Armstrong. This one had released today. The Monkey King was today, I believe. And this one down here was kind of interesting, called The Body Tree, No One Leaves. I don't know that one. That one looks kind of cool. But, you know, there definitely was a couple different things that released today. But, like, down here, some things are empty. I'm not sure, you know, what was in those spots. Oh, yeah, and then the Jackals released today from, you know, Shout Factory. So it definitely was a decent amount. Oh, I see one more, and I think this was today, Sharknado 5. I didn't watch this one, though, so I don't know how this one was, but these are all kind of fun films. Don't, you know, absolutely love them, but kind of fun, you know, silly movies. Other than that, though, I thought that Horror Stories came out today, the latest season of that, but I haven't seen, I know it did come out. They have Horror Stories Roanoke. And this season, I kind of felt like was a decent season, but it kind of took a little while to get going. Like the first few episodes on this one, I didn't love. Kathy Bates was really, really good in this. I felt like kind of maybe like 4 episodes in, this show really did pick up. I really, really like, though, the latest season of Horror Stories Cult. That one, though, I feel like is a really, really cool one and is like going in a really pretty interesting direction. This one, though, like I said, it was okay, but did not absolutely love everything about this one. And then this released today as well, House of Cards, the complete 5th season. Other than that, though, I believe that's all the main things in here today. And there actually were 2 more things that came out today. You know, 4K releases here of Kick-Ass and Warm Bodies. You know, that film, both of these ones came out today as well on 4K. Yeah, so the only one that I got in there, though, was that Layover movie. Like I said, I know this probably is not going to be amazing, but it was like one that I really kind of wanted to see. You know, all the slipcovers in there, they only seem to have 2 copies, all kind of had a rip sort of in them. But it's kind of like one of those situations, sort of like it is what it is. I don't want to like go over, you know, lots of different Walmarts, you know, to see them, you know, if they don't all have it like screwed up like that. But like, I don't know too what some of those empty spots were. Let me know though if there's some other things that released as well, you know, that they didn't end up putting out in there today. And this past weekend I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was Flatliners, which is, you know, the Flatliners remake. You know, I remember too, like when they first announced it, because they announced that Kiefer Sutherland was going to be having a role in it, people were kind of acting like it might end up being like a sequel or have more of a connection or be a follow-up to the first film. But this, no, it's a 100% remake. And like, I don't know, for some reason I feel like Kiefer Sutherland in it, like he didn't really, his character was like the teacher to the students, but they didn't tie him in to them much at all. He was in the movie for like 5 minutes, and I don't know why he was really in the movie. He really didn't have much to do at all, and I thought they were going to kind of have him connected to the experiments and stuff, but there wasn't much of that at all. It's, you know, it's, if you guys don't know the Flatliners film, it's basically about these students, and, you know, Ellen Page's character really wants to because her brother died, she wants to kind of flatline and, you know, kill herself and then be brought back from the dead to kind of see what happens, you know, after you die, and like right after, and then the students have to bring her back. So it's a group of these students doing these experiments on each other, you know, flatlining each other and then bringing them back. And when they get brought back, though, they kind of have these other abilities, but at the same time, then they start seeing these kind of creepy things and weird stuff, and they're trying to figure out exactly why this is happening and what's going on. And it's one of those movies, I did not love it too much. I really liked the original movie, but this one, it kind of felt like one of those sort of C films. Like the acting and everything was good, Ellen Page was really good, Diego Luna was good, but as a film, though, I just did not love it too much. You know, it's one of those ones I'd say it's still worth seeing and checking out, but not like one I would go out like right away and watch. The other one I saw this weekend was Victoria and Abdul, and that's basically about the Queen of England, and that was in set in like 1890. It was during the time when, you know, England owned a portion, you know, or owned the territory of India, or the area of India, because they kind of like conquered it and took over. And these two men from India were coming to bring this coin to the Queen as like a token of like appreciation and stuff. And when they get there, though, the Queen ends up like taking a liking to the one guy, and it's kind of like her forming this friendship with this man from India, and like everyone at the palace is all like, what are you doing? Why are you letting him stay here? And her kids are giving her all kind of grief about the whole thing because she wants to learn, you know, his language, and then like they become really good friends and stuff. And it's kind of like this whole thing about everyone they're like really not liking this, and because of the changes in the way she's acting, and she's not paying attention to anything else, and she's all like kind of obsessed with, you know, this friendship, and she's finally like happy. And I don't know, I thought it was a really good movie. I feel like Judi Dench, though, is definitely going to end up getting like a nomination for this film. Her performance was amazing. And the other one I saw was Battle of the Sexes, which stars, you know, Steve Carell and Emma Stone, and it's, you know, about Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs' character, who are like tennis players, and it was kind of, he calls her out because she's a woman, saying, oh, you can't play, and you don't play as good as men. And it's kind of like this, you know, them planning to have this match together, like when they call it the Battle of the Sexes, and seeing who's the better. But it also deals with Billie Jean King's, you know, life as well, her personal life, and like, you know, her kind of coming to terms with being a lesbian. And I don't know, I really thought it was good. It's one of those movies I didn't know going into it what I was going to think, and if it was going to be like a whole lot of tennis like the whole movie. And it's not really like that. It's more about Billie Jean King's life and Bobby Riggs' life and his problems with his wife and gambling and stuff. But let me know below, though, you know, if you guys saw any of those movies or what films you saw this past weekend. Into Best Buy we go. And over in here, though, they have some exclusive editions here, Pirates of the Caribbean here. They have the Steelbook edition here for the standard Blu-ray edition. That one's $24.99. And they have a Steelbook as well for $34.99 for the 4K edition of that one. This is, like they said, the second 4K release that Disney has released. This is one of the other things that came out today. This Justice League, the New Frontier, the commemorative edition. I don't know if this is like a re-release of an older one. I believe this might be an older one re-released here, but I'm not 100% certain on that, though. And in here as well, they do have Goon as well. That one is, you know, $16.99 for, you know, this like I said, the second Goon film. And I don't know if these ones released today, these Vikings. I'm not sure what season this. Oh yeah, season 4, volume 2. I think this may have been today. And they have Roanoke in here, Horror Story Roanoke, for $24.99 for the Blu-ray edition of this one. Like I said, though, this is one when this goes down in price, I'll definitely probably get it. But wasn't my favorite of all the seasons so far, though. And over here as well, though, some of the other things that came out, like I showed in the front, you know, the Pirates of the Caribbean ones. And then, you know, they have the Blu-ray edition here of Sharknado 5. Like I said, though, these are fun movies. I did not watch this one, though. This movie I really like, this one, The Survivalist. This one I would highly recommend you guys check out. It's a kind of like, it sort of has the feel of like that one, It Comes at Night, a little bit. And it's like all about like a post-apocalyptic thing about this guy living out in the woods and, you know, like at the end of the world. And they don't really explain much of how that kind of came to be, but I don't know, I really like that one. And this one released today as well, this movie called Relive. And then they have Call of Chucky. Their one here is $16.99 for that one. So it looked like Walmart had the cheapest price for that. And here's the Blu-ray edition of this, because Walmart only had the Chucky collection on DVD. So if you're trying to, so you don't mix these ones up, they have a Blu-ray thing on the top, so you can can tell the difference of these. I don't think there's anything new feature-wise, like any exclusives on this one. They also have in here that Jackals one. Looks like they only have, though, the DVD for that one everywhere. Also, this one had released today, too, A Ghost Story, you know, the Rooney Mara movie. And I see down here, too, this is one of the things that came out today, the 4K edition of Dracula. And that one's $22.99 for that. And then this, I think this is this is the 25th anniversary of Home Alone 2. And I don't think there's anything new on this one, as I don't even think there's actually any features on this. As far as I can remember, they never actually had any features at all on this. So I don't know what exactly. It's kind of weird. I think it's just like a repackage of the old one. I mean, I like the cover a little bit on this, but I don't know, like, it's too bad they haven't ever really put one, like a really special edition of this one. And over here though, this looks like this is something new for $44.99, this edition of Real Ghostbusters. And yeah, this has like over 100 episodes on here. I'm pretty sure this is a new edition of this that I don't remember seeing. I don't think this is the entire series, but this is one of those things as a kid though. I watched this thing so many times, always really loved this series. It's like a really fun series. I like the other one too, that other the Filmation's Ghostbusters as well. I mean, as a kid though, I was always so confused about why there was two different ones, and I don't know, I was always really confused with that. So anyway though guys, that's all for this DVD shopping video today. Like I always say guys, if you enjoy these, shopping videos, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Now stay tuned now for a couple new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got from Lionsgate, I really like this one. This is a movie called Michael Jackson Searching for Neverland. This movie was originally, made for Lifetime. This is basically from the perspective of the two bodyguards that were guarding Michael Jackson during the last like 2.5, 3 years of his life when he was in Las Vegas, when him and his kids were in Vegas. And it was kind of a rough time for him too, because his manager kept on trying to persuade him to go and do these shows in Vegas, and he really didn't want to do it. And it kind of focuses all on his life and, all the kind of problems that were going on with him, and how he couldn't go anywhere with his kids, and kind of the stuff that he did too, like wearing disguises when he would go out, and then like all the kind of the fear that he had about his kids and not wanting his kids' pictures taken. And it's like I said, it's all from the perspective of the the bodyguards, and it showed a lot of stuff that I didn't know about, how when he was having some really bad financial problems and he couldn't pay the bodyguards, and they were still working for him anyway, even though I hadn't been paid in months and months and months. And it shows all the stuff too about when he was trying to buy this enormous mansion in Vegas as well. And then all this stuff I never knew about, this huge like $500 million property that was amazing property that he was trying to get. But then he couldn't do it because of the money problems, and then he had to put on these shows, and it's also, it deals with like his death too, and them questioning the bodyguards, but it really focuses though a lot on too his, children, and how, like, I didn't know this either, that he was like with these kids all the time. Like, you didn't know that he actually was basically the only people these kids were seeing the last 3 years of his life. But I thought the actor too who played Michael Jackson did a really good job in this one. I always, have been a fan of Michael Jackson since I was a little kid. I remember like some of the first music I remember listening to was Michael Jackson music. I remember when I saw Captain EO when they brought it back to Disney. I remember like how like emotional I got. I don't know, it's just Captain EO was an amazing, thing that they did for Disney. But if you guys liked, like the biopics that Lifetime does, this is definitely one of the better ones, I would say, for sure. The next one here from Lionsgate as well is the brand new 4K edition of Kick-Ass. And I always really liked this movie. I wish the series continued on. I love the second movie as well. I thought these are all like crazy, like ultra-violent superhero movies. And I feel like now, too, this was a little bit ahead of its time, because this was before Deadpool. So this is like, Deadpool was one of the ones when they really got, like making an R-rated superhero movie. This was like right, a couple years before Deadpool. So I feel like now a part 3 could, happen more. But it's basically though about this kid who, with him and his friends, are like these ultimate superhero fans, comic book fans, all into everything like that. And for no reason at all, though, Aaron Johnson's character just kind of is like, well, I want to be a superhero. So he gets this costume and he goes out and starts like fighting crime and getting the bad guys and stuff. And Chloe Grace's character, with her father, played by Nicolas Cage, she's Hit Girl, and she's going around this like real dirty talking kid that's fighting crime as well. And it's kind of them fighting crime together. And they have to deal with like these bad people and stuff. I don't know, this is just I feel like a really, really, really fun, crazy off the wall movie. Ultra violence, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, known for, Superbad as McLovin. He's in here as well as his friend, and he's trying to be a superhero, a supervillain as well. I don't know, I really, really like this movie. 4K wise though, movie looks great. The big thing with 4K is the HDR, the high dynamic range, which is all about the contrast levels and like the, the darkness and the levels of like I said, mainly with the contrast and the levels of like the color levels and things like that. And that's one of the big things that 4K really benefits with. But definitely though, if you guys are a fan of this movie, definitely worth upgrading. It has the features as well on the 4K disc and the Blu-ray disc. You got a bunch of different features, from the past release as well on this one, like a making of on here, a commentary track as well. But Definitely one, if you guys have never seen that movie, really, really fun, you know, crazy, ultra-violent superhero film. The next one's here from Gravitas Ventures, and this is one I was really wanting to see for a while. This was done a couple years ago, and finally it's gotten a release. It's a movie starring Joey King, and it's called Smartass, and I really thought this was a fun movie. It's basically about Joey King's character who ends up running away from home, and I think she's like 15 years old, runs away from home, and is kind of like going off on her own. She's hanging around all these kind of kids that are all like much older than her, and they're all like kind of like doing drugs and messing around the streets and doing kind of bad stuff, and she ends up getting herself arrested and taken to the cops. And she gets, you know, taken to prison, and she ends up getting out that night, and they kind of just let her off on her own in the middle of, like, Los Angeles, like, in the middle of kind of, like, a bad area. And it's kind of her trying to figure out how she's going to make her way back to San Diego. And it's all the kind of weird characters she comes across and her kind of way of trying to figure out how she's going to make her way back. And she has really no money, and it's kind of this whole to-do of her getting back and dealing with these real sketchy characters and drug dealers and people that are really up to no good. I don't know, I just thought this was actually a pretty cool movie, and then like it kind of has a side, you know, story as well to like her friends' characters, and then there's like something dealing with this drug dealer and trying to get something, and so like it cuts back and forth to them. I thought the stuff with Joey King though was the strongest in the movie, with her trying to make her way back though. Some really fun characters in this one as well. The next one here from Gravitas Ventures as well is a movie called Austin Found, and this movie, you know, stars Craig Robinson and Linda, you know, Carolina, you know, from Freaks and Geeks and the Scooby-Doo films and Grandma's Boys. I actually really thought this was a funny movie. It's basically, though, about this mother who is one of those kind of pageant moms, and she's like forces her daughter to do all kinds of pageants and events and things at school, and is really just trying to get her popular and all kind of, and she also wants to be kind of famous herself. And she's not, because she doesn't really have a lot of money and stuff, she comes up with this idea that the only way that she's going to truly be popular is if her daughter ends up getting kidnapped. And so she schemes up this plan with her old ex-boyfriend and the boyfriend's friend, played by Craig Robinson, to stage a kidnapping, about kidnapping the daughter, holding a ransom for like a month, so then she can go on TV and say, and have a big sob story like, oh, I miss my daughter, and she can go on all the talk shows and do everything she can to kind of try and become popular. And then it's, you know, Craig Robinson is, like I said, one of the kidnappers, and he kind of becomes friends with the girl that he kidnaps, and it's kind of like this whole thing about, you know, Craig Robinson stuff was probably the best in the movie. This is probably one of my favorite Craig Robinson movies for his stuff. Like, I thought he was really good in this, and like kind of like a touching character in this, because like it was like kind of sad because he was kind of forced into doing this, and he really didn't want to have to kidnap this girl and watch her, but he kind of was like one of those guys that like does everything his friend says. And then it's kind of the whole thing about the parents trying to find her, and the father knows nothing about what has happened. He just thinks she's kidnapped, and he's like can't understand why his wife is all like excited to go on all these talk shows and getting all this attention and stuff. But just a really, really fun movie here. Really like this one a lot. The next one here from Sony, this is a movie called Fallen, and this is kind of a, it's basically though about this girl who ends up going to this like prep school because like it's like kind of like a bad prep kind of school because she kind of got in trouble. It's like you don't know exactly what it was that she did, but she did something bad that made her have to go to this school, and she wouldn't actually have to go there because like they said to her if she took this medication and stuff, then she kind of would be able to not go. But of course though she doesn't want to do that, and she's also saying, you know, that I was blamed for something that I wasn't. So she ends up going to this school, and it's kind of about her. There's these two guys there that she meets, and the one guy kind of this when she's out one day for a walk at the school, this kind of statue like falls and just about crushes her, and he ends up, you know, saving her from this. And the movie kind of deals with like these angel characters, kind of like fallen angels, like one's good and one's bad. It has sort of like the feel of like Twilight, this movie, a little bit. It's kind of like her finding out about stuff about her past, because when she meets these guys too, she feels like this weird sort of like connection to them, like she sort of knows them. She can't exactly figure out why or how she knows them, and it's kind of her kind of discovering things about her past and exactly who these guys are and stuff. But if you guys are fans of like movies like Twilight and those kind of things, and I know this was like a book series, I think I was reading there was like 4 of them in the series. This has on here though The Making of Fallen and some featurettes on this one. The next one here I want to let you guys know is available from Sony as well. This is a movie this is the 80th anniversary edition here of the movie called Lost Horizon. And this has in here too a digital copy of the movie as well. But it's also it has a cool, like one of those kind of like digibooks here with like pictures from the film and, you know, some facts about this film. And the thing that's cool about this release here is this is the longest version of this movie that's ever been released before. Because I think when it was originally released, it was like only like 80 minutes long, and this version is like over 2 hours, and it's also got 1 minute of footage that was never seen, like totally like thought to be lost footage. This is basically set in a time when there's like war and all kind of violence going on, like in the, I think it was the 30s, I believe, and then like these people end up escaping on this plane and end up crashing in the Himalayan, I think it was the Himalayan mountains, and they end up finding this, getting rescued by these people out there who taken to this village where everyone there is like real tranquil and they have no violence. And it's like, and then they kind of, it's about them sort of trying to come to realize exactly there's more to why they're there. And it's like a kind of like they almost like they want to get back to where they're from, but at the same time they kind of don't, because it's like there's no violence and everybody's kind of at peace here. So it's like a total different kind of society as opposed to the way things are in the world. But this has on here like the brand new 4K transfer of the film. They did a really great job cleaning this movie up. Has on here though a commentary track on here, an alternate ending, some deleted scenes, and also has a thing on here talking about how they, you know, restored this and all the work that was done to restore this, and you know, and then find the longer version of the film. The next one here, I'm going to put a link for you guys can get this one. It's a movie called The Little Hours. This has everyone in this. This has Dave Franco, Aubrey Plaza, Molly Shannon, John C. Reilly, Alison Brie. Like I said, it's called The Little Hours. And this is a really quirky, strange film. It's from the director who directed Life After Beth, which Aubrey Plaza was in as well. I always watch pretty much everything Aubrey Plaza's in. This is basically set in like the 13 something, and it's like these kind of like dirty nuns that are like talking real dirty and kind of perverted and weird, and it's based on some story. I don't know what, I can't remember what story it was actually based on, but like a classic story that was kind of like a spoof take on the whole thing. And these nuns there are always talking dirty, and they're kind of like nuns that are almost forced into being nuns too, because like they don't really want to be there, and they kind of want to find like man and kind of leave and get rescued from this place. And then it's about, basically though, about James Franco's character, who when John C. Reilly's out one day ends up having these quilts because he's like the head of the church, and he like spills these quilts that the nuns make, you know, made out in the middle of the lake. And Dave Franco's character, who's on the run because he was like a servant for this kind of king guy. He was sleeping with the king's wife, so he's like on the run. So he ends up getting taken in by John C. Reilly because he helps him with the quilts and stuff and get him out of the lake. And he ends up, you know, having him come and work for him at the church. But he says you have to be a deaf mute and you have to, you know, not talk or say anything, because the nuns are really didn't like the other guy who worked for him because he talked too much. So it's kind of when Dave Franco's character gets to this the nunnery place, you know, the nuns are all like kind of like turned on by him and spying on him, and it comes in and it's all these weird things that are going on, and there's like really weird twists and turns in this one. I thought it was just a really quirky, strange movie. It's kind of got like a Monty Python-ish kind of feel to this one a little bit. Has on here though an interviews on here, as well as a gag reel. And this one here, these ones are from Umbrella Entertainment, and these are Australian releases, but all of these ones are region free. So there's, you know, if you guys have a region, you know, American player, you can play these. There's no region coding or no region lock or anything. This is a movie, a killer crocodile movie, which I had never seen before, called Dark Age. And this stars John Jarratt, you know, who's, I would say, is best known for the Wrong Turn movies and not Wrong Turn, Wolf Creek films and the Wolf Creek TV series. And I really love this movie. I got really like invested in this film. It's basically, though, is about John Jarratt, who's like this wildlife ranger, and he kind of watches over this area where all the Aborigines, like a village of Aborigines, live. And there's this gigantic crocodile out there. The crocodile like kills this kid, you know, attacks these fishermen and kills some of the fishermen. And he's kind of tasked of trying to, you know, catch and, you know, kill this crocodile. But one of the elders of the Aborigine tribe there is saying how the Aborigine village is like, no, this is like a over 100-year-old crocodile, and I've been, you know, tasked to watch him, and you can't destroy him. So it becomes this whole thing about what is he going to do? How is he going to stop this thing? It's got like a feel to like Jaws of the, you know, Jaws sort of feel to this. But I really love this. One of the actors in this too He's in a whole bunch of movies. He was in like Crocodile Dundee, and I saw lots of like Australian actors too I recognized from other things like movies like Thirst and stuff. Really, really great movie though. And this movie too is like a real rare movie because like in Australia, I read it didn't actually get released until 2011 on any format or at screens or anything because the company that originally made it, you know, went bankrupt before the release ever came. But just a really great movie. It has on here a commentary track on here and some interviews on here with John Jarrett, but really, really great one if you guys like, you know, killer crocodile type movies, and also ones that kind of have a different take on the whole thing, not like the real typical thing you're thinking of. Definitely check that out. Highly recommend that. The next one here from Umbrella Entertainment, as well as a movie starring Barbara Hershey called The Entity. I always really liked this movie. Has on here though a commentary track on here. I mean, I know an interview track here with Charles Bernstein, the composer on this one. I always really like his music. He did like I believe April Fool's Day and Nightmare on Elm Street and a bunch of different movies. But this movie's basically about Barbara Hershey's character who one night, it's like this weird type of entity is like haunting her in her house, and she gets like attacked and raped by this entity in the night, and people like she's kind of talking to like people and about what had happened. She kind of goes and works with this like these students at this college, and they're trying to like figure out exactly what is happening to her because she's having all these kind of this presence is haunting her at night when she's out in her car messing things up in the house. It's kind of got like a poltergeist kind of feel to this one. Like I said, I always really liked this movie a lot. Really, really cool. And I feel like this one you don't hear about as much as well, but definitely would recommend if you guys have never seen this one, check that one out. And the next one here as well from Umbrella Entertainment, and this is a DVD release of a movie called Out of the Shadows. And this is a pretty creepy movie. It deals with this like mother who's pregnant and moves into this new house with her husband, and the husband is a cop, and he's going around, and there's some weird stuff going on. Like there's this woman that gets killed who's pregnant as well, and like weird stuff happened in the house. He's kind of trying to investigate it, but his wife is starting to get kind of like in the new house they moved into haunted, and there's some kind of a presence messing with her, and like she kind of thinks that like it's like wants to haunt the baby, and like why, you know, while she's pregnant. She starts seeing weird things and like trying to tell the husband about what is going on. And it's kind of her trying to get to the bottom of exactly what is going on and like if there's something that happened in this house in the past. And then the husband as well is trying to figure out exactly what happened as well, if this is a connection to the woman that was killed in the beginning. But a pretty creepy movie here. The next one here, one that you guys know, this one is available from Real Gore. Releasing, and I talked about these ones in the past. This is a 4-movie set here. They also just released a 4-movie set as well of the Blood, Murder, Sex, I believe it was called, that had like Necromantic, Shrimp, like the Necromantic films. Those ones, they just released that on DVD as well. This is a set with 4 different movies on here. It has Violent Shit, The Orphan Killer, The Curse of Dr. Wolfenstein, and what he called Masks. Dr. Wolfenstein, the thing that's cool about that one is I actually have a cameo in this movie. I'm on like the TV advertising this like Stain Begone type thing with these dirty underpants. I know it was really cool to be included in this one because it's like a cool, you know, ultra gory German splatter film. Orphan Killer was like this killer that was killing people in this building, and like he kind of kept on coming back and killing them. Violent Shit was a remake of the Violent Shit films. They made like a bunch of them in like the 80s. They were like shot on video ones. And it kind of had mixed opinions, this one, but I kind of really liked it. The actor who was in like House on the Edge of the Park and Cannibal Ferox was in it. And Dr. Wolfenstein was a doctor who was like killing people and like sewing their body parts together and making this weird type of creation. But a really cool set here, if you guys don't have this one, for like ultra gory, super splatter films here. The next one here from Synapse Films, and this one is the release of the movie called Popcorn. And this is one of those movies that was like one of those really, really rare releases for a while. Like the DVD was one of those real sought after ones. So really cool this one now has a major release of this. And this is a movie that there's a documentary on here talking about some stuff I never knew about this one, like how the one actress in this who was from the Honey I Shrunk the Kids films, the sister, she was like originally cast in this movie and they shot with her for like 3 weeks, and then like she ended up getting fired and they had to go and reshoot it and, you know, try and like use what they already had, and then all the close-ups they had to film with the new actress. But this is, and it was also shot in Jamaica too, so there's some interesting stories about how this was made and how the director was like fired, and then like the cast was kind of screwing around, and he kind of you know, got him into shape and like put more effort into this film. But it's essentially about these film students that are throwing this you know, film screening, horror screening, to kind of raise money, and it's kind of they're planning all these kind of gags at the screening, like kind of like if matinee, you know, like the kind of like the things that shake in the seats and things that fly in the audience and stuff. But of course, they're planning this, and then like someone is there killing them, because like this theater in the past, this one film director like killed his family on the screen, and he's like this real like crazy weird director they don't know a whole lot about. But now of course something is happening to people who are throwing on the screening at this theater, and it's kind of like, is this the guy from the past? Does he come back? Like, who is it killing these kids? It's just a really, really fun splatter, you know, slasher film. Like I said, always really like this one on here. Has on here some features, you know, theatrical trailer, TV spots as well. But if you guys have never seen this movie, one I would definitely recommend you guys check out. The next one here from Artsploitation Films. I talked about this one a little while back when I was talking about the video-on-demand release of this one. This is a movie starring D. Wallace Sohn called Red Christmas. And I always really love Artsploitation Films. Like, this is their first release in quite a while now. But they put out some really great stuff like Der Bunker and Der Samurai. Just some really great, like, foreign horror films. This is a movie from Australia. This is about basically D. Wallace's character, who's having a family to, you know, get together with their family and her kids and stuff. And there's some kind of a crazed killer that kind of comes to the door and kind of is like killing them one by one and like attacking them, and they're in there trying to figure out how they're going to, like, you know, survive the night from whoever this person is coming after them and killing them. It's just like a really fun, you know, super gory slasher film, throwback 80s style slasher film. Has on here though a bunch of features on here, interviews on here with D. Wallace, and some other cast and crew interviews, a deleted scene on here, bloopers, but a really, really fun movie. Also a commentary track on this one. And the next one here from Wellgo USA. This is pretty cool. It's their first ever steelbook release that they have released of the movie Flatliners, and it kind of comes off like this. You see the hands, you know, touching in this, because that was the original poster of the movie as well. But a really cool release here. This is, you know, the original Flatliners film. I always really liked this movie. I had not seen this one in such a long time. You know, it stars Kiefer Sutherland is in here, Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, Oliver Platt, William Baldwin. It's basically though about these medical students who are messing around with the idea of like what happens after death. So they're going and like killing themselves, stopping their heart, and kind of like seeing the things that they experience from it. But of course, when they come back from this, they, you know, they strain, something is kind of haunting them. There's like a weird presence coming after them. And I don't know, I just thought this, always thought this was a really cool movie, but a really cool steelbook release here for this one. Also here from Mill Creek as well is the new Blu-ray release of George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. This is the 50th anniversary edition here. This actually looks pretty decent. It's, you know, kind of a scratchy print, so it kind of has like a throwback grindhouse style feel to this. But if you guys have never seen this movie though, this is one of those like must-watch movies. You know, this is pretty much like the first ever like zombie movie, because, you know, George Romero directed this one. It's basically though about this girl who's like with her brother, goes to the cemetery, and, you know, the brother gets killed, and she kind of runs off because there's like a zombie out in the cemetery coming after her. She comes up to a house and boards herself in there, and there's some other people who are in the house as well, and it's kind of them trying to survive the night through these zombies that are outside of the house. I always really love this movie. Oh, you know, George Romero is like pretty much really is the person who started these types of films, and it's always like a sad story too with how like this movie ended up in the public domain because they didn't put the copyright symbol on it because of a mistake that happened. And also has on here the digital copy of the movie. And on the digital copy edition, I believe there's a commentary track. If some of you guys might remember the YouTuber Film Fan Pete, like he does a commentary on it. I have not gotten to listen to that. I'll see how that exactly works, but there's like I believe, like I said, a digital code in here to listen to that one. And then the next one here from PBS is a documentary from the American Masters series. This actually stars, you know, who was on here from, you know, Dennis O'Hare from, you know, best known, I would say, from the American Horror Stories. And this is like Edgar Allan Poe's Buried Alive. This is basically, you know, like a documentary done in the style, like with, you know, Dennis O'Hare is like playing, you know, Edgar Allan Poe in the flashbacks and stuff, and it's kind of about his life and kind of how he, you know, he started and kind of like the dark stuff in his life as well. And it's all done, you know, in the documentary style with like interviews about him and people's kind of takes on his work and everything, and then reenactments through Dennis O'Hare's character. But if you guys are a fan of, you know, Edgar Allan Poe and these kind of, you know, American Masters series, definitely check this out. The last one here, I'm gonna put a link for where you guys can get this one. And this one is you know, actually available too on BestBuy.com, Walmart.com, Barnes & Noble, I believe, as well. And this is the second of the Death-Scort Service films, Death-Scort Service Part 2. And these are like, you know, if you guys know the films that they release, this is from the company, you know, the Sleaze Box. They make like super gory, like really over-the-top crazy films. The first movie was about like these group of these escort girls that were getting killed off by some sort of a killer. And this one is new girls that are now being, you know, taken off one by some sort of a killer. And it's kind of them trying to figure out who it is, why, you know, but it's like really just mainly just scenes of girls getting killed and like really over the top crazy deaths and stuff. Lots of weird nudity and stuff in these as well, especially that one old man that they always get. Like, he's amazing. Like, he's really strange, this old man that they get, and they have him do some really strange things. But I don't know, I always like their stuff. They're just really super gory stuff. There is one other thing to mention too, and this one, I just have the disc of this one. This is the new Adam Garish film. You know, he directed like the remake of Night of the Demons, I think an Autopsy, a bunch of pretty cool movies. And this is a movie called House by the Lake. This is about this husband and wife that end up moving into this house with their daughter who has autism. And when they get to this house, it's like the daughter, you know, has kind of been doing okay with everything, kind of been under control, but all of a sudden she starts to kind of like digress and things are not going well, and she starts kind of talking to somebody, and like there's weird stuff happening in the house too, like there's water outside the house in the floor, and it's kind of like them trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It's kind of like a haunted type house type thing, and the daughter says that she's like talking to somebody, and it's like, who is this, and what exactly happened in this house, and why is somebody like haunting them, and why is this happening to the daughter, and why is there like water tracks throughout the house. It's kind of them trying to figure out if like the daughter is doing like going out into the lake, because they live like in this lake kind of property, and that's kind of like the whole thing there. But anyway though guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.